To the phone lines now. Shea Dixon of On3Sports, our guest. Shady, how we doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Doing very well. Okay, now that we've seen Brian Kelly and his staff in action for a couple of home games, and now they've gotten kind of into a full swing of a football season, anything you've noticed in the way that they have handled visits, recruiting, that stood out to you?
I think the biggest thing for me so far, guys, is just the amount of guys they've had in, right? I mean, we've had no official visitors yet, but we've seen almost every commitment, whether out of state or in state, show up for a game. And we've seen them have a pretty heavy unofficial visitor list. Heck, this past weekend, they had the number 1 and 2 quarters in America in town for the 24 class. So that's kind of stands out to me, Hunt, so far. As 2 games in, you've got about 50, 60 kids who've already been to campus that are either committed or have an offer.
You've now been on this beat for 3 head coaches. Is this a more national visitor list than we have seen? I mean, that would be the reputation of Brian Kelly, or has it been about the standard?
Well, it's a lot of Louisiana kids, but, I mean, we're seeing a lot of Texas guys come in. We're seeing a lot of Florida kids come in, a lot of Georgia kids. And I've been impressed, Hunt, that this class, when you look, they've gone heavy on the Louisiana kids, here lately. It was a nice run on things, but they've kind of repped it from all over the country, from the Northeast to West Coast to Florida, Miami with Jaylen Brown. So I kind of feel like every pocket of the country's in play right now, but there's never a doubt Louisiana's being made the priority.
So this used to be an easy question for you to answer. Now I don't think it is as much. They've got, by my count, 22 commitments for this class. How many do you think they're going to sign? Isn't there just limitless now? Just fill the boat where you can?
Yes, and you got to stay under the 85.
Sure.
So what's your thoughts there? You going full 40 here, Hunt? Old school Ole Miss style?
I mean, I'm not. I'm just curious what Brian Kelly's doing. I mean, generally we're kind of looking towards the spots for the 25. That's out the window now. So would it surprise you if they signed 29 high schoolers?
They're at 22 right now.
Right.
And look, the NCAA put that new kind of window rule in place for transfers, which I like. So now there's a window. Like, it's after championship games are announced until like mid-January or like January. So it's like a 45-day stretch. And then there's a 2-week stretch right after spring ball. So those are the only times you can enter the portal, recruit kids from the portal, whatever it might be. So we're kind of on pause with transfers until then. But that's fine, because here's how it lays up. You've got 22 high school guys. You'll continue to recruit them. Let's say you get 25, 6, 7 high school guys in the boat. Maybe they add 5, 6 more kids, maybe more. But then after the season ends, they do that January kind of evaluating the inventory, right? Like, who all went pro, who all is going to enter the portal, who, for whatever reason isn't on the team anymore. And then you subtract that number from the 85 and say, hey, look, we still have this many spots we can fill. So that's when you get active in the transfer portal. So I bet it's 25 to 30 high school signees would be my guess, which is, the norm. But they're not going to come anywhere close to that, 18 transfer signees from a year ago. And Brian Kelly talked about that. That was the 1 year kind of let's carry us over and rebuild the roster. And then from there, I think you treat the portal about like every other team, even the Georgias and Bamas. If we have any, big glaring needs after recruiting and after everyone's already entered the draft or whatever, then we'll go to the portal. If not, then we're still heavy on high school kids and we're heavy on development.
When you see Will Campbell starting at left tackle and Emmy Jones starting at right tackle, and you see Harold Perkins making plays out there, how big of an impact do you think that is on this recruiting class and going forward for Brian Kelly?
I mean, I think it's massive. I think when kids look at your position and, what are my chances of coming in and playing early, so often people equate that, Jeremy, with like the depth chart. Like, hey, I'm a running back, and I see that you don't have any running backs except the seniors, so, like, that's a good spot. If I can come in, I can, very likely be playing right away, or I'll be in the 2 deep, whatever it might be. I think the good thing when you look at this is O-line, for instance, they've got guys on the bench right now that have started games for LSU. Like, it wasn't like they didn't have depth, and these kids just walked in and, were given jobs. I mean, they competed and beat out guys who were now sitting on the sidelines watching, who started a lot of football, started a number of football games and certainly played a lot before these two stepped on campus. So I think you kind of got to take it a step further and peel back the layer of understanding that, hey, it's not just oh, they're playing early. Like, they battled and competed and won jobs. And when a high school recruit sees that and sees, hey, look, Emery and Will are starting as true freshmen, and there's older veteran guys that they're starting over, that's kind of a big selling point for me. At least I think it is.
Chatting with Shea Dixon of On3Sports, you mentioned the senior running backs, Emery and Kane, likely out of here after this year. You look at Armani Goodwin having a nice start to his year, but then in this class, Caleb Jackson and Trey Holly, what kind of senior years have they gotten off to in terms of their starts, and what are these guys like? Could they help next year?
Yeah, so Caleb was injured a couple of weeks ago, and it sounds like he'll be out till November. So he's one where you kind of wait to see if he gets back, how the rest of the year goes. But, I mean, he's a top 15 running back prospect from here in Baton Rouge. So no matter what, you feel good about keeping him and getting him. And then Trey Holly, I don't know what he ran for this weekend. He had a good game a couple of weekends ago, but he's not far off from breaking a couple of Jeremy's buddies' state rushing records. Jeremy played at Redemptress. Competition's a little bit stiffer, but let's see. Kenny Hilliard held the rushing record, if I'm right, for the state, and then Nick Brissett held it, and now I think Trey Holly's going to get it. So it'll be 3 LSU products, at least, sitting at the top of the state record book.
To me, DB's got to be a massive deal here, because when you look at the experience in that LSU secondary, it's nice when you bring those guys in and they're ready to go, but then they're gone pretty quick. So where are they right now in terms of the DB class?
I mean, they've stacked up on them, and, I mean, they've got a handful of corners. They've got a handful of safeties. They got some safeties who can play nickel. They've got some safeties who can play corner. So, I think there's some position versatility, kind of flexibility there. We see Jay Ward do that. He's played every single position that there is in the defensive backfield. But there's some guys kind of like that you can move around. But I think everybody right now is focused on what would be considered the big uncommitted fish in Javian Toviano, who he's out of Texas. He's ranked as a top 5 safety, but LSU's recruiting him at corner, and I kind of get the sense he wants to play corner in college. But he said he's got kind of a decision made in his mind. A&M's been on him, Texas has been on him, LSU, Michigan, but he hasn't visited anywhere but LSU since June. And the end of July, visited LSU. Then he told us at On3 that kind of privately, he's pretty sure he's made his mind up, and that happened in August, right before senior year started. And then the only visit he's made since is to LSU. He was decked out in his Joe Burrow jersey, hanging out on the sidelines of the Southern game. So things seem to be trending in the right direction there. Like, that could be one that you land who is a top 50 player, and really for me fits the bill of, DBU. You've got every year a top 5 corner in the class, and that's kind of what he'll end up being ranked, I think. So that's the big name I'm watching. They've got guys committed and talented guys, but if there's one out there, it's Tobiano out of Texas.
When you look at the top players in Louisiana right now, most of those guys really have made their decisions on what schools they're going to go to. But what are some of the guys left in this state of Louisiana that you think LSU really has their eyes on and want to get part of this class?
Gosh, there's a lot of, obviously, as you said, a lot of dominoes have already fallen. And, early during the coaching transition, kind of a lot of top guys, top 10 guys, top 15 guys committed, and they were going to other schools. And it was sort of understood that they probably weren't going to go to LSU, so it wasn't the end of the world. But they turned around and reeled off a number of commits, Jalen Hurd and Sampson, and you go up and down the list. And so they've got a lot of Louisiana guys. A lot of dominoes have fallen. I'm kind of in the spot now where you're really watching uncommitted or even committed guys, but who don't have offers yet. So, like, Jonathan Backs out of Edna Carr is a linebacker who's had a very nice start to his senior year. You can kind of Kadarius Collins is a D lineman up in North Louisiana. Marjavius Moss is a cornerback up in Shreveport. Ashley Williams is a kid who has picked up some big offers playing D line at Zachary. So I think we're kind of like a month into the season now, almost, and that's when most colleges feel good about, hey, look, we've watched 3-4 games of senior film, and here's where we're kind of at with the board in this position. And now I think in the coming weeks, next few weeks, months, and kind of leading up to December, we'll start to see potentially guys here in Louisiana getting offered. And, both of y'all know this. We've played this song and dance before, right? I mean, Russell Gage, Duke Riley, Foster Morrow, Lloyd Cushenberry, Justin Jefferson, like you name it. If there's guys that at the end they're kind of like, all right, we're going to make a move on them, and it's closer to signing day, more often than not, it seemed to pay off kind of in an odd way.
Shea Dixon from On3 got a Jaden Toviano story up on the site right now. Tell me about the specials I got going on over there at On3. I know it's your new home.
Yes, it's $1 for a year, so
That's pretty good.
It's about as special as it gets. I don't think we'll be dropping it below that. I'll never never just giving it away for free, but $1 for a year,
Look, I just started paying tuition for the first time ever, but I can handle $1 a year.
All right, the baby was just born. You've got this child in school already?
Look, we got to go to work, Shay. This kid's got to go. You got to go sit somewhere. We got to go pay the bills.
How's Dad gonna afford those stadium club tickets if she's not working, right?
I'm not paying for any tickets. Press pass, baby. LSU Sports Radio Network. All right, Shay. Thanks for your time, man.
Oh man, we're done already. All right, guys. We'll see you.
Thanks so much for watching Hun Hill on YouTube.
Now do us a favor. Hit the red subscribe button below and throw us a like. We'll see you next time.